Welcome back to the Rebel's Edge. I'm Jon Najarian. Pete joining me shortly. And speaking of shortly, if you were short coming in, you're a happy camper until the market turned. Now that the market's turned, we're going to focus in on Warren Buffett making a big $5 billion investment, maybe his last investment as the leader of Berkshire Hathaway. We'll talk about that, some stocks and macro on today's Rebel's Edge.
Here we go, John. You ready? I can tell you, you got the hat on, you got the shirt on, you got the whole thing, man. You are obviously in Miami.
I'm ready for the cruise, Pete. This is my cruise attire.
Cruise wear.
I missed you this morning because I went for a big walk on the beach to get my workout in. And usually Pete would be with me there, folks, dodging people on bicycles and rollerblades and so forth. But
I got Muscle Beach across from my hotel right now, John. I can tell you that.
Are you in Fort Lauderdale, Pete?
No, I'm in South Miami. I'm right on Ocean or whatever it is. So.
Oh my gosh. Well, you got a bit of a ride to get up to the boat then.
Yeah, it's not so bad.
Better not wait too long. Well, thanks for joining us today, folks. Pete and I always appreciate the opportunity to bring you information about what's moving markets right now. Mm-hmm. And so let's dive into macro, Pete. And even though it feeds into our first stock, I'm going to say the fact that Warren Buffett decided that now is the time to make another $5 billion acquisition, perhaps his last, tells me all I need to know, Pete, about is the market way overvalued? Not so much. Not if Warren Buffett's buying stuff. So he's finally putting some of that cash to work. What do you got, Pete?
Yeah, and he's got a lot of cash, as you know, John, that is off from the market right now. And yeah, this is a nice deploying of, whatever it is, $5 billion stake. It's pretty incredible. It's funny that you brought that up because that was exactly the macro that I was going to go with. I was going to say, hey, look, everybody's so focused on AI, and every single day we talk about, hey, a lot of these are overpriced, and they are. But I would say this, Google is an AI name, but it isn't all of what they do. And so when you really look at them, they actually, I think, trade at a bit of a discount towards, away from most of the market. So I like what I see out of the Oracle. I think that's pretty cool. And yeah, that's going to be our first stock. So I won't say anything more about it until we get to it. But yeah, I think Buffett is kind of leading us in the right place.
All right. Well, let's hit some fantastic futures, Pete. And Bitcoin certainly not making people feel fantastic as it breaks through 100,000, a level that it had not really breached for more than just moments for a long time. But it is now down on the year, Pete. Did you know that? Down on the year because of the surge that it took after the election in 2024. It's actually now, I've got Bitcoin today, Pete, at 94,000 to the US dollar. So that means it is lower than where we started the year. So for all the Bitcoin bulls, that's not something they're real happy about.
Yeah, it's a pretty tremendous slide, actually. And, it had dipped below before, and then it came right back up. And this time it's kind of spending a little bit more time. Speaking of which, we talk about volatility all the time. And when does it get over 20? Well, it's over 20. And it's holding over 20, John. So far, so interesting today because it's sitting there at call it 20. Now it's a little bit more than 21 to the upside. Last I looked, it was up 5 or 6%. Interesting to see how it's kind of making that move again. And I wonder if this time is the sticky time. Maybe it starts to hold up above 20. We'll see. I mean, the one thing that we talked about that really, I think, stabilized the markets was the earnings season. Well, we're getting towards the very end of earnings. So although we got one big one left, and that's NVIDIA later on in the week. So interesting to see. And I think that might even be the reason we're seeing volatility start to go up going into that earnings and what they're going to have to say about it, because that's going to be front and center for everybody.
Well, then let's dive right into the Google side, Pete, that we both said was part of our macro. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway, new stake. So you already know what that is, folks. Google shares moving to the upside. And, there were some people betting on Google, Pete, just a couple days ago. On the 10th of November, here it is the 17th. So 1 week ago, we were seeing very strong activity in Google. But with the sell-off that occurred in the final 2 days of last week, it had fallen all the way down to, as you can see there, into the 270s. But it's right back to basically 290 now, and making a push to perhaps even go higher, Pete, on this Warren Buffett investment. So that unusual activity, even though it was just a week ago, already paying off.
Yeah, it's always great to see that. And there was plenty of different, UOA out there, John, on Google. Pretty amazing. I think it's pretty important when you get a guy like Warren Buffett and he decides to make a stake in anything, but specifically in this case, Google, because of the fact that when you think about it, he's endorsing AI to some degree, for sure. And, Google Cloud and all the rest of it. And I think when you look at this and the capabilities, the services, the AI, that whole thing, and Warren Buffett is going in there, why would he go there? I'll tell you why he's going there, and also why he was selling Apple. Apple right now, if you take a look and you see what the PE is, it's probably a little bit closer to 32 or 33. That's elevated for Apple. How about this? Google's PE, price to earnings, is closer to 25 on a forward. I'm talking about forwards here. So, you know what? It makes a little sense that the Oracle might say, you know what? I'll take a little bit from over here and I'm going to put some over here. And he makes this large investment that you were just talking about, John. It's going to be interesting for sure. I mean, there's one thing that we don't see when we see Apple. We don't see Palantir type things when you look at the AI and Palantir. By the way, the PE there is 175 on a forward. So a little bit different. So are there bubbles? I think there are bubbles out there. Is Google a bubble? Absolutely not, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Pete, they're announcing a $40 billion data center build in Texas by 2027. They announced that they're going to be sitting down with Texas Governor Greg Abbott about it and so forth. So pretty big deal. Google getting a lot of news today, and stock lifting on a day where the market was soft, particularly in the beginning, but making a comeback as we push into the second half of our session. Let's talk about a big defense company, Pete. Technology company Elbit Systems. They won a big $2.3 billion contract, and it's going to be performed over 8 years. But nonetheless, this kind of emphasizes what they do, and the fact that the Defense Department, or I guess they don't call it Defense Department anymore, do they, Pete? They call it the Department of War. And the Department of War is spending some pretty good money on high tech. And we will be among the leaders, of course, in high-tech battlefield stuff for years to come.
Yeah, Elbit's interesting. I'm sure a lot of people would say, I've never heard of them. That's okay. There are so many companies out there doing different things. That's all right. But a big, nice move on the day. It was up 11%, the last I looked at it, as a matter of fact. And they have this whole thing over the next 8 years, as you mentioned, John, as far as the time period of this whole thing, long-term revenue visibility for them. I think that's something that people, I think, are embracing upon this whole thing. By the way, earnings tomorrow, and they've already that has rose up a little bit, John. They from where it was recently, they lifted it, and now they're talking about earnings of maybe $2.74. That's much higher than it was, and revenue of $2 billion, which is also higher than it was. They're expecting this to be a pretty great quarter. And even though it's up 11% today, wouldn't be too shocked if tomorrow this thing might have another lift if they hit the right numbers.
Yeah, and that's a key. They're going to have to give positive guidance as well. But based on this contract, I think they're going to get a little bit of that.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about ZYME, Pete. Rhymes with mime, but ZYME. Top line results from a phase 3 cancer trial, very positive. And they did this, Pete, with basically Jazz Pharmaceuticals and B1 Medicines, symbol JAZZ for Jazz and ONC for B1 Medicines. And anytime there's a cancer treatment for men, women, both, that has positive phase 3 results, it's going to lift the stock. And obviously this one was up as much as 45% earlier today.
Yeah, that's a heck of a spike, man. I mean, absolutely incredible. You want to talk about a little bit of a short squeeze maybe, John? There's about as much as 10, 12% shorts in this name. So I think that they were, unfortunately for them, on the wrong side of this one, because this is so strong, which is great for the public, obviously. Gastroesophageal cancers and all the rest of it that they're moving. I mean, these guys have a pipeline that just doesn't seem like it ends when I was looking at it, John. It's just absolutely incredible what they've got. Obviously, not everything's in phase 3. You've got some phase 1s and 2s out there as well, but this is a really, really interesting company, and they have put up some pretty nice numbers. And because of that, I think the partnerships that they've got as well are something that's really a good strength for them also. So with all that being said, nice big spike of call it up to 40% or maybe 45%, like you mentioned, John. I think that's well deserved, but that doesn't mean it's going to hold up there for terribly long. I think they might give back a little bit, but they are certainly a company where they've got a very, very impressive pipeline. And I like the partnership deals that they've made as well.
Well, let's end up with another pharmaceutical company, Pete. This one, Novo Nordisk. You could also look at the negative side of it for Lilly, LLY. And both of them in focus because of their GLP-1 drugs. Those are, of course, the drugs that were invented or worked on for diabetes, but then it turned out people were losing weight on them. So now they are the most popular drugs on earth. And news today that Novo Nordisk is going to lower their direct-to-consumer pricing to about $349 a month, Pete. I remember when they first came out, it was over $1,000 a month, and then they ran out of it, even at that high level. And those stocks, Lilly and Novo, were moving up pretty fast. Mm-hmm. Then they started cutting price, and then President Trump said to them, you know, it's still too expensive. I'm coming out with Trump RX, and I'm going to be selling this for $199 a month. And they said, wait a minute. So they want to go and stay in the loop direct to consumer. So in order to do that, they had to cut their prices further, which, again, good for consumers.
Yeah, good for consumers. I don't know if it's going to be good for Novo, John. I mean, these guys have already been struggling, and that chart, I think, says it all. When you look at this company, it's down 43% year to date. Meanwhile, you look over at Lilly, and obviously that they have this drug. They're going against each other, these weight loss drugs, diabetes drugs, and all the rest of it. But I think that when you look at Lilly, there's a good reason why Lilly's actually up 31% year to date and up 26% just in the last month or so. So Lilly continues to cook to the next level. And I keep wondering, John, are they going to cut? Are they going to go along with Novo and start cutting? My guess would be they kind of have to. There's probably going to be a competition there, but Novo, it's going to be tough for them, John. When you look at that chart, like we were talking about, and you start to look around and you start to feel about Novo and the struggles that they've had, and Lilly hasn't had those same struggles. It shows you that the balance of the drugs that are out there right now, and maybe some of those in the pipeline, still stand much more closely over there with Lilly than it does with Novo.
Well, I know you're going to like this one, Pete, because I got you a kid that's an absolute beast, a 5-star recruit already. And I think when you see him, you'll see why he was a 5-star recruit. By the way, a lot of great games this weekend, Pete. We can touch on them next. But sure. This kid, look at him in the whatever, scarlet and silvery. Oh, he already looks like Ohio State, doesn't he?
But he's going to USC.
I was going to say he's a USC commit. Now, that doesn't mean he couldn't change his mind, but it's kind of funny that those uniforms are pretty reminiscent of Ohio State for most of us. Let's give this a listen and a watch.
Sure. What this kid just did to high school football in New Jersey should be illegal. Yeah, that dude right there is actually not a grown man with 3 kids. That is the
He's pretty shredded, man. He is.
5-star USC commit Luke Wayfield.
He'll probably need a little more weight.
99 total tackles, 37 tackles for loss, and
got some wheels too.
Sacks. And when
Look
you
at
go the tape,
wheeling
you
guys.
see why every school in the country wanted Luke Wayfield. At 6'5", 245, he has a legitimate chance.
I think USC is going to be pretty happy with this kid playing on the outside.
If you want the stories that no one else is talking about, make sure you hit hit that follow button.
No doubt.
Linemen were literally committing assault trying to block this dude. That's one of the meanest
Committing
moves I've
assault.
ever seen.
Committing
Mixed in with the
assault.
suplex. I've never seen anything like that before. What's most impressive
gotta
to me
tackle
is
him.
Luke actually plays basketball
And
for
the
high
kid
school
is a
too, and
baller
when you
on
watch
the court,
tape,
too,
he's
Pete.
honestly not
He's
bad
good
at
too.
all.
He's
Making
not just a
plays
guy
on
playing
offense, making
basketball
plays on
out there because
defense,
he,
gets the
you know,
ball
wants
right
to do
here.
something in the
He's
winter.
keeping
He's
it
actually a pretty
dynamic.
damn good basketball player,
Players can hoop
better
a little
football
bit now.
player,
Luke Wakefield
and
is definitely
his
a player to
frame
watch
looks
for
like
next
something that
season in
could
the
really
Big
be
Ten.
special into the future, John.
Yeah, boy. It's amazing. I don't even know if you'd want your kid playing against this guy in high school.
Well, it's kind of like, you know, Derrick Henry in high school when he was running over everybody, or that running back you and I were talking about like a week ago, where you see these guys
From
you're like,
Knox.
yeah, when you have size and speed and you're built more like a 25-year-old going against 18-year-olds, that it feels like that's not even fair. And that kid looks pretty good. All right, John, here we'll jump to a little college football. You know, we're getting closer and closer. Everybody's talking about the playoff, and we've talked about the playoff, but I just wanted to point out, I think there is a top five, and then there's a couple of others that are not in the top five that could be, because I think there would be, they're world beaters, John, but Ohio State dominates on both sides of the ball. That's just an absolute fact. They have the best defense in all of football. And when you look at the offense, they got a quarterback that everybody now can't stop talking about because he's that good. And he's got great receivers, and they've got all of this that Ohio State has. And then you go to Indiana, and you sort of see the same thing. Dominant defense and one of the most explosive offenses in football. So fair that they're both 1 and 2. And they haven't quite had the same struggles, John, as like Texas A&M has actually had some very, very close games. Now, does that mean that I don't think they're good? No, I think they're great. But you look at them against Notre Dame, you look at them against Auburn, you look at them against Arkansas, you look at, again, this past weekend with South Carolina, John, who's not a power by any stretch. You just kind of wonder a little bit. And then you've got Georgia and Ole Miss. They're great. I mean, how can you argue anything about it? Ole Miss's only loss so far this year, well, is to Georgia. I mean, Georgia's loss was to, to Alabama. So it's not like these guys are in bad shape on who they're losing to when they lose, which is very rare. But how about these guys, John? Every week I watch something with Utah and I go, you know what? Those guys are just tough, mean suckers. And they run the ball and they run it right at you. And they've got all these they got fullbacks that are over 300 pounds that they use, John, at Utah. And then they slide some other guys over to tight end positions and stuff. It's absolutely amazing. So between them and, of course, Texas Tech, I don't know how you look at Texas Tech and you don't just smile with what they bring, plus the linebacker that everybody's talking about, ever since he did the Heisman pose and all the rest of it, John. I just think it's really cool. Did I miss out on any of the sleepers that are out there? Not that Texas Tech is a sleeper. They're ranked really high. Utah's not that far below them, but they're not talked about in the same vein as all these other schools, right? You'll hear more talk about Alabama and Georgia than you will some of these other schools. So I just wonder what you think about like a Texas Tech or a Utah. Could they surprise some of these schools, I think, when they get into the playoff?
Well, that Alabama game, Pete, this weekend was something to behold.
Yeah.
That was a great game, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And DeBoer's first loss as a head coach at Alabama, for a home loss.
Mm-hmm.
That was his first home loss.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a tough one. That's a tough one to swallow, but they'll still be in. But,
Mm-hmm.
You're playing a team that's not going to be in if they lose to you.
Right.
And so they had a bigger, I guess their hearts were bigger. And, that poor kicker, Pete, the long snapper for Bama, he snapped the ball high, and that was the difference in the game. He snapped the ball high. The guy, the holder, caught it, but that extra, bring down from there rather than just put it down like this caused him to stutter a little bit and miss the kick, and that's what they lost by. So that's a tough one, I think. I thought it's still a two-horse race, Pete. It's Mendoza from Indiana against Sayan from Ohio State. Two quarterbacks. And because we both know they ain't going to give it to a linebacker. I don't care if he has 300 tackles.
That was just him doing this.
But I think he's a hell of a player.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that Texas A&M has played a lot of ranked teams, Pete. But quarterback looked really suspect in the first half. And in the second half, he got a chance to throw the long ball, which he's really good at, but that ain't what you're going to be doing in the pros if he makes it that far. And so I think he's a different player than those other two, because the other two can throw the long ball, but they also are really good in the 15-yard box.
Yeah.
And so if just because you got a monster arm and you got a receiver that can run under it, I don't know that that's enough to get that kid into the big show. But he's playing, they didn't quit. And the coach, he was pretty emotional about that, but they did not quit. Just like Indiana the prior week did not quit. And biggest comeback, I think, in Texas A&M history.
Yeah, pretty awesome. How about the NFL, John? When you look at it, would you have guessed, now we're more than halfway through by a little bit of the NFL season, right? So would you have guessed that these would be the leaders in their respective areas, right? So the Bears, they're sitting at the very top of the NFC North. You've got to be pretty happy about that, being a Chicago Bear yourself. Then you've got the Rams and the Seahawks, not the 49ers, but the Rams and the Seahawks are sitting up there in the NFC West. The Broncos at 9-2 are sitting there also, top of the AFC West. And then you look over at the Colts and you go, all right, top of the AFC South, 8-2. I mean, it really is amazing, right? I mean, how many of these would have ever been thought that was going to be the lead? Maybe you liked the Denver Broncos, but you probably didn't think that they were going to be at the top of their spot, but they are right now. Last one, New England. I mean, at first you just wondered, okay, is this just an anomaly? It's going to happen. It's, a couple weeks and then the kid's going to come back to earth. Drake May, here's what he's got, John. He is number 2 in QBR with 113, number 3 in touchdowns with 20, and he leads the entire NFL with passing yards by almost 200 yards. So I don't know what to say about New England. I mean, is he the second coming of Tom Brady? I mean, those questions were asked early, and that's pretty ridiculous. But now all of a sudden you're looking at him going, okay, wait a minute. He's big, 6'5". He can run. He's got, enough of the athleticism to do it, probably more than Tom Brady, quite honestly. And he's slinging the ball all over the place. So what do you think? I mean, is Drake May the real thing? I'm going to say yes, he is. And he just needed the right coach, the right people around him. They drafted an offensive tackle, I think out of LSU, was their first round pick. That's what you do. Protect your quarterback. And not enough teams do that. But the New England Patriots have done a good job of how they went out and drafted as well, and free agents. And they've got the right people for the right people, which not a lot of people do that the right way. What do you think? Is New England for real? Is May for real?
I got to ask you about, is J.J. McCarthy for real? Because in the preseason, he looked like it. The kid looked like it. And then he got hurt. And now that he's back, God, the kid couldn't hit the broadside of a barn on a lot of those passes, Pete. They were just terrible. Yeah. And I don't know what the problem is, why he was having that much trouble. I really don't. I'm not trying to be – I actually really like the kid.
Yeah.
But right now, if you offered me JJ or Caleb Williams, I'd take Caleb Williams 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, I agree.
And they came back again and won against JJ McCarthy and the Vikings. Yeah. I mean, the Bears are on a roll. I'm not saying they're a Super Bowl contender or anything like that, but they've got a staunch defense. They're not letting people put up points. That's key. Mm-hmm. Because if you let the other team score less than 20 points, you should win in the NFL with it slanted the way it is. And the Bears have been doing exactly that. They've been holding the other team and they've been winning. Now, to your point about Drake May, smart. He's playing really smart. You don't see him making a lot of dumb throws. Does he miss guys occasionally? Of course, they all do. A lot of those are the reads, because the receiver reads one defense and the quarterback reads another. And if the quarterback throws the out because he thinks the guy's going out and instead he turns in and they've got a safety and a corner back there, sometimes that ball gets picked because it went the wrong way. But I think there were some pretty interesting games, Pete. I thought, like you say, the Broncos. Tomorrow we're going to have to talk about, is Kansas City done? Are they done? Because at 5-5, they're not making the playoffs. Now, they can have a run. We all know, they've got what, 6 more games, Pete? Or 6 or 7 more games?
Yeah, 17 total.
Could they still get in? Yeah. They need a lot of other people to fail, though. And the other people they need to fail don't look like, there's some damn good teams. You don't just get the Raiders for whatever reason. That's one thing that I really feel bad about Cosby, Pete, playing out there with the Raiders. I'm sure he loves it and the players love him and so forth. But Max Crosby out there, what a waste. Yeah, because they ain't beating anybody. Yeah. I mean, those guys in Tennessee, it would be a bore fest.
You're right. Well, we got a lot of new teams, though. A lot of teams that never have, no, I shouldn't say never, haven't been there in a while, who are now leading. So that's pretty cool. I think it shows you that there's some GMs out there that are doing the right thing and some of them that are doing the wrong thing. And I think those that are doing the right thing, we're seeing it. We're seeing it through the draft and we're seeing it through free agency. And, you look at the Chicago Bears, they have built around Caleb really, really well with running backs, a better offensive line, a couple of more tight ends and all the rest of it. And like you said, the defense speaks for itself. I mean, those guys, they're not the old ones that you were around, but they're a pretty damn good defense. In this era, it's pretty amazing.
Yep. Well, tomorrow we will break down Kansas City and whether or not they have a chance. We'll show you guys who they've got coming up and show you what the odds are on Polymarket of them making it. Because I'm thinking, Pete, it's one of these.
It feels like it.
But anyway, thanks for joining us, folks. Let's hope that the bounce continues today. And Pete and I will be back with another Rebel's Edge from the Cardone Foundation cruise at 1 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. See you then.